Okay. All right. So we've got a few things that we could be talking about LinkedIn. Does anyone want to get started with something that's moving and shaking, that's maybe a little bit non-obvious, that hasn't been discussed publicly too often? What have you got for me?
Boy, I had to say this whole creator mode lunch bag letdown of like, people, wanting it so badly. Then we get it. Then it's like, meh. The whole hashtag thing was weird. And it's kind of like, you can't order them. They're not clickable. So what good are they? And then just the very fact that people are still waiting. They're still waiting. Other people are already bailing. We're already trying to come up with a great word if you do creator mode and then you don't want to do creator mode anymore, what mode are you in? So I liked rebel mode. I thought that was kind of cool.
Nice.
And does it or does it not affect our stats? And there's a lot of people that are saying yes. There's a lot of people too soon to tell. So, maybe Kevin, you seem to be the stat guy, with the new features. What do you think?
There hasn't been enough change either way for me to say it's made any effect at all. I have noticed, possibly because I don't post every other day. There's 2 or 3 days sometimes in between when I do a post. I've noticed some of my older posts are getting a little more attention by people who have visited my profile, right? So I can see that they're getting in there, they're interacting with them. So they must be finding them through that process where, my last 6 are kind of put up at the top, and then they're clicking on them and obviously going and interacting with them. So I think in that sense, if you're getting them to your profile, maybe you're getting a little more activity. And that was the only way, I went back and looked to see. And I thought that was interesting, but no grand effect. But I really didn't think there was going to be. The way it was kind of launched and described, I was very skeptical at the beginning. And I thought, well, maybe something more is coming later. This is kind of like a front, right, to a process. And but I don't know. I don't know if I'm seeing that now. And I was really odd because probably within 2 weeks of what was that, March 31st, I all of a sudden was able to see everybody who had creator mode, and I was able to see anybody who had cover story. But I didn't receive the actual feature until about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, same here.
So for me, it was really, really odd. And LinkedIn, all they could say is there is a glitch that's keeping us from rolling it out to your particular account. Mm-hmm. But they wouldn't tell me, well, why can I see these things? Because normally you don't get to see them, right? Until you have them. And so that was kind of the normal rollout. So I thought I was in the rollout, but something didn't happen in, the implementation of the code. And to me, that just tells me that LinkedIn as a site is getting so complicated that it's really hard to do these rollouts. And maybe I'm talking too much. I think that LinkedIn is under pressure to bring out new features. And I think that pressure is coming from Microsoft. I've seen a couple of comments from Ryan out there that says, I'd rather fix things than create new features. New features to me are not as important as overall health of the site. So I've seen that in quotes out there before in the last couple of months. And so I think there's that pressure. And that's why all these new features came out on that last day of the first quarter, right? And 2 weeks later, they had their quarterly with Microsoft. And all of a sudden they're like, boom, look, here's all our new ones. We hit our quota. Don't bother us. And I think it's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. I've been looking at it we've had these really silly little features pop up. And if I went back to how many I thought came out in that first quarter, we're probably due for about another 4, maybe another 5 of these, what I call silly features, expanding our ability to write, in a post from 1,300 to 3,000. Is that really a new feature? It's not a new feature. It's just an augmentation of an old feature, right? But everybody takes it on as a new feature, and I'm sure they presented it that way, So I think they're trying to get some low-hanging fruit with some of this stuff. Some of the things that you see out there, share this post to increase, its reach and that kind of stuff, or, create your comment into a post. All those little things I think are, again, they're trying to come up with as many new features as they can that are easy to implement, that aren't as deep as like creator mode, because I think that really threw them for a loop when they got in there and they couldn't get it out within, because Ryan said they would have it out in 30 days. Everybody would have it. And there are still many people who don't. So to me, I think that's what's going on. And I think we'll see a lot more of this little kind of junky stuff coming out.
Have you got
interesting?
Have you got the 3,000 characters yet? Because I don't.
I do.
I don't.
I do. I'm not going to use it, but I do. Yeah.
And
my take on creator mode is that it is doing what it was advertised to do. Okay. It is switching around the profiles, et cetera. I agree with Kevin. I don't have a definitive answer like John will have at the end of his experiment. Okay. But I don't believe the rumors that say, because I don't think it has a lot to do with your reach or how much your content gets traction. Okay. Because when I first turned creator mode on, when I finally, and I turned it on slightly differently than other people, it did not show up on my dashboard. Okay. It never has shown up on my dashboard. I always went to that link where you could actually check to see whether you were able to do it or not. And one day it actually said, oh, here it is. And so I turned it on. Okay. Now, immediately after I turned it on, I had one of the biggest posts I've had in months as far as reach is concerned. I had a post that did almost 10,000 views. Now, was that because of creator mode? I sincerely doubt it. Okay, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think the post just, stood on its own merit and did its own thing. But you're right, Kevin, the complexity of this has really messed things up because honest to goodness, I can't see, I have creator mode. And John and I have done this. John actually sent me a video about this that said, yeah, I can see your creator mode and the activities moved up here and your this stuff is above your about section. I can see your hashtags, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But I can't see it for myself. Only other people can see my creator mode. And I can't see his creator mode. I cannot see anybody else's view. When I go to their profile, nobody else looks like they've got creator mode to me.
They gave that to me instead of you.
that says you got it, and people can see it for you, but I can't look at anybody else's.
Now, I think it's. Am I right in saying that you don't use the LinkedIn mobile app at all? Is that right, Jeff?
Me personally, I do sometimes look at the mobile app, so it's not never. Okay, and I've been checking the mobile app fairly regularly lately, John, because I'd like to see whether or not the cover video shows up. Which it hasn't yet.
Okay,
so you don't have it?
You don't have it.
Cover video.
Oh.
Because the only place you can find whether or not you're going to be able to do it is on the mobile, right? With the plus sign, okay, on your profile picture. So I don't have it yet. I just looked at it yesterday. I haven't looked at it yet today. But I just looked at it yesterday and I don't have cover video. Not that I even am going to use cover video. Okay, if I wanted to do a video, I go to my intro video from guess who, the great Gillian Whitney, and I'd use my cover video there. I'd point people at that if I really wanted to do that. So I'm probably never even going to use cover video, but I got to be able to look at it because if I'm going to teach somebody about it, I kind of have to know what it looks like, right?
Yes.
So
okay,
there's my take on creator mode. Creator mode is doing what it was advertised to do. It did it for me. It changed the look and feel of my profile, but it hasn't done anything else as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Well, I think a lot of people who kind of self-proclaim being experts, right, were promoting that it was doing something great for them, that they were handpicked in the initial rollout because they're creators and you're not, right? And that kind of got everybody like, why isn't it on mine, right? And we all kind of suffered through this
FOMO
rollout, right? That goes in waves. It's not personal. It is totally randomized. We've all gone through it. Sometimes we're at the top of the wave, right? And other times we're crashing in the surf. That's how it works. This time I was on the farther end, and sometimes I'm on the beginning end.
Yeah.
But I think some of the people that received it really started promoting like I'm super special because I have this. They hand selected me, and it's making a huge difference. A lot of them were saying, oh, things are going crazy. Numbers are going crazy. My polls are bigger. My posts are bigger. And I don't think they really were.
Exactly.
Now, some of that
Exactly.
may have been because they were talking about a subject that everybody wanted to know about, right? You throw creator mode out, I've got it. Well, now I'm going to read that post probably because I don't have it yet.
Yeah.
And I think
I
that's,
got, again, another take on creator mode, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to what's happened over the last few weeks, is that was the fastest hype cycle I've ever seen.
Mhm. And I think it goes
Nobody knows
back
what the
to
hype
what's
cycle
going
is, right?
on.
Okay. Yeah. No, it just went, whoa, no, I forget. Well,
That's interesting, because I've heard some people say, and maybe Brenda can comment on this one. Welcome, Brenda.
Hey, Brenda.
Some people who've got LinkedIn Live have said that since the introduction of creator mode, I think more likely it's the cover story update, that because your lives are being shown as preview in your banner, maybe that's getting more people to look at their live video, and therefore people are saying we're getting more views, and therefore isn't this a great thing? I don't, Brenda, have you got any views about has that introduction increased the view counts for your lives?
I'm not really tracking my video views as I once was, when they first started. My first time I went live, I had within 10 minutes, I had 130 viewers, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm being shown to that many people. Now I might get 20 or 30.
Right.
But by the end of the video, you look at total views, and I think they count a total view as 3 seconds or more. And it's usually between 100 and 300, and that's total views. It's not people watching. So could be someone coming in and out. I don't know. But I like it as a marketer because it makes it easier for people to watch the video. But I have to kind of put the caveat, it's only for the people that happen to visit my profile for the hour when I'm live streaming. So it's not reaching everybody, and it's only reaching the people coming to my profile, not seeing me in search or comments or things like that. So I like it from a marketing point of view. I don't know how much it's impacted video views. For me, I've never looked at a live, determining success of a live based on how many people watch it while it's live. I look at it more on a qualitative perspective. Did I enjoy the conversation? Did it seem like there was good interaction in the chat?
Yeah.
Did I provide a good experience for my co-host being on there? And then it's really the video views. I look at it in totality. How many did I get by the end of the day, or by the end of the second day? And that's really, then it goes 300, 500, 600, sometimes 1,000 or more. So I look at it in totality.
So most of your views come after the
After.
broadcast has finished.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that would the overall engagement would increase if they changed the way that live notifications worked about comments, because those are frankly disgraceful.
They're horrible. Yeah.
it's tough to use. It really is tough.
It really is. I mean, I've got a couple of workarounds. I'm sure you're aware of these things, but you either go to the person's profile and then go to their activity, or what I've started to do is you use the ellipsis menu and hit save, and then you've got bookmarked in your browser your saved items, and then you've got a one-click way of jumping to the comment stream for that thing. So it's just that you're just temporarily saving the post. Or you switch to the mobile app, because a notification about a comment for a live does let you jump straight to the comment there. But then I tend not to respond to comments through mobile, but that is a way of stopping the video just taking over everything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But isn't it a stupid design?
You know, don't you wish that LinkedIn would get us together and just say, what can we do to make it better? And I was reached out recently by somebody at LinkedIn Research, and, they always make you sign the NDA, and I never will. So they say, sorry, and this last time, I think they were going to offer me, I don't know if it was $50 or 200, but it was something. It was something.
Wow.
And I said, sure. I mean, whatever. It was something, because usually they don't offer to pay you anything, but this time they're like, we're going to give you something. And I'm like, sure. And they wouldn't tell me what it was about. And they went through the process of scheduling it. And then it was the day before, they said, as a last step, you need to click this box and check. And here's the NDA, in the Google form. And I said, I don't sign NDAs. Anything I share with you, I'll share with my community. And they said, thank you. We understand. Have a great day. But why wouldn't they? Why would they bring it? We want to help them. It just seems to me, why don't they involve us? We are here to help.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of people post those surveys, after they take them, and they obviously shouldn't be doing that if they're signing an NDA, but I've seen them out there, and I find that fascinating.
I've heard some cynical commentators say that it's in LinkedIn's interest to have a load of enthusiasts speculating about the way the platform works rather than knowing, because that drives more controversy, that drives more session time, and actually it serves their purpose. And I can't remember who it was, but I've heard a couple of people in the last week say, and in fact, it might have come from you, Kevin, I can't remember, but someone...
That sounds like an Andy Footism.
Someone's...
and newsflash, folks, guess who just got LinkedIn Live? Andy
Yeah,
Foot.
I saw that.
All right. Okay.
Talk
Wow.
about, there goes the neighborhood. No, I hope Andy sees that and smiles about it. Yeah.
He got someone to expunge the background file they had on him. Because he did say he had a bad, mean comment in there on something, and that's why he wasn't getting it. He was told internally, and I thought that was interesting.
He was flagged. He was blackballed, right?
Yeah. I've had them tell me what my internal file says, and there's a couple in there that maybe took it a little too far. So.
John, I have to share. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Back to the improvement conversation, okay? We've all come up with ideas about improvement, okay? And you're right. I think if they just listen to us every once in a while, I mean, can they spell focus group? Supposedly they can, but it doesn't seem like that there ever have been any that I've been. Well, some of you may have actually been involved in some of the focus groups.
Well, they used to actually call it beta testing.
I could point them at one spot that would give them just tons of ideas. Okay, John, back when you did your 30-day video challenge, okay, there were 3 solid days that were improvements 1, improvements 2, and improvements 3. Point them to that, and that would give them tons of ideas about how to improve LinkedIn. That was wonderful. I enjoyed every single second of those videos.
Well, I appreciate that. That came, do you know what? That reshare came about as a result of a Clubhouse rant, because I was in a room and someone said, "Has anyone got any ideas for improvement?" And I'm sure John's got 1 or 2 things. And I just talked and talked and talked and talked, and then I thought I better put my mic down now. So that's where that came from. But that fixed list, I mean, I published that more than 2 years ago, the original fixed list, and I know that more than 250 people who work at LinkedIn have seen that list. And a project manager was assigned to that task, and they raised a support ticket, and they said publicly that they'd be keeping me informed, and then privately they closed the ticket down, and I never heard back from them. And that's just so typical. It is really frustrating. But just very quickly to finish off the thought that I was saying earlier, which is that all of the effort that goes into understanding the algorithm, I mean, if you just understand how LinkedIn makes their money and follow the money, you've got everything you need then. So if it's in their interest to increase session time, then it makes sense that they wouldn't actually tell anyone the secret sauce or get people on focus groups. They want people like us because they know that we're speculating. They'll want us to try and put forward our own theories and test the stuff and talk about it and talk to our communities. It makes sense. So it's stuff like that. And I was going to say earlier that around the introduction of creator mode, it hasn't been around for long enough for me to gather enough data to see whether it's really made a difference. But I did a tiny study of 14 posts that I did before activating and 14 posts after activating, and my average view counts, and I'm not including videos in this because the variability of my video stats is quite high compared with my variability of other post types. So I thought, let me remove those to get rid of that variability, or reduce it at least. And my average view counts have gone 8,200 down to 6,600. So, I mean, there's nowhere near enough data to say, oh, well, look, that's evidence that it's dropping. But it's certainly not, it's not multiplied by 3 times like what some people have suggested that it has. Although maybe it has for live video creators, I don't know. My current test is that I sense in my water, maybe, that the fact that I've got 5 hashtags listed on my profile, but I don't actually use all 5 of them in my posts, could mean that LinkedIn thinks, well, he's saying one thing, but he's not living up to that. So what I thought is, let me pare down the list. So I've only got 2 hashtags now. And interestingly, when I went from 5 down to 2, the order in which the 2 that were in the original 5 appeared has been switched. Okay, so I had my 5, and the one that I want everyone to look at, LinkedIn Learner Lounge, was the final one. I've cut down to 2, and it's now the first one of the 2. So why has LinkedIn changed that order? When I raised a support ticket to them to say, how do you determine the order of the hashtags? Because we can't determine. They said it was based on relevancy. That's all they said. And I said to them, no, it isn't, because it can't be, because there's only one of these that I use regularly, and it's got lots of followers too, by the way. How could that possibly appear in position 5? And then I go and make a change, and it goes to position 1. So I don't know if that's a glitch, but that's kind of a bit weird, really.
Yeah. That is very strange.
But obviously, I don't have enough data to determine what's going on with it. But I'm not impressed. I mean, it's not really doing anything for me, I think. And one thing I really don't like is the fact that the about statement has been deprioritized. It's been moved down. And yet when I write profiles for clients, the big thing is the headline, and the second thing is the about statement. That's it. That's basically what I'm doing for them. And now the about statement is like, oh, where is it? It's all the way down here. And I really don't like that. So
I would also add, I don't like the activity stream, that now my activity is showing my posts. And so it's very me. This is what Gillian shared. This is what Gillian shared. And it's not highlighting my comments. And I'm a huge commenter. I am not, I comment more than I post. And I really spend a lot of time commenting, not on just my own posts, but other people's posts. I purposely go out and, share the love, so to speak. And I don't like that now somebody comes to my profile and all I'm talking about is me. Whereas if you look at people who haven't switched on creator mode, their comments are being featured, their last 5 comments versus us now. So I don't care for that.
Well, but Gillian, that's a perspective. A lot of your posts are not about you. Okay. So, if you do a LinkedIn leader post as an example, that's going to be one of those 6 that show up there. So that's not really about you. Again, it is doing what it's advertising, focusing on the creation of, of content. And so again, I don't mind, and I'm probably in the minority here, but I really don't mind the fact that my about section was lower, is lower in my profile view anyway, because you know what? I don't think a lot of people were looking at it anyway. I mean, John proved that, okay? Pineapple, okay?
Don't give away all my secrets. But yeah, it's, well,
I didn't see what it was for.
Yeah, the proportion of people using my secret word when they're inviting me is going up, but it's still less than 15%. But maybe some of that is the fact that that secret word is also in my Clubhouse profile, which is a lot shorter and easier to access. And perhaps if I'd thought more carefully, I would have used a different secret word on Clubhouse so that I could check the differences,
And is it a secret if you've told them that it's a secret word to go find, right?
Well,
the more you tell them, the more likely they are to go find, right?
You say in my headline, find my secret word. And the point there is it's a conversation hook. It's not really a secret. I just want to have a reason to start a conversation with someone.
But the more you do that, the more likely they're to use it or to find it, I would think, right?
I guess if they're paying attention to my content, then I guess they are, yeah.
Well, back to what Brenda was saying earlier, okay? We talked about the LinkedIn Live, and she, from a marketing perspective, what she's been able to do is take the fact that the LinkedIn Live shows up on her banner and point people to it, okay? I mean, she said it in many different posts, and that's how you marketed getting people to come to LinkedIn Live, because now they've got another method. You want to go to my LinkedIn Live? Check out my profile, okay? Here it is, right?
That's one of the best things I think they did.
People to look at.
You didn't even need creator mode for that.
I don't think anybody would, well, I'm deluding myself to think that people would actually follow me just for my own sake, okay? Just because I told them to, but I'm telling people to follow me all the time. If anybody actually looks at every single one of my posts has got follow me on LinkedIn. Every single one of my, and the very first thing in my about section is, bold, please click the follow button above, okay?
Yeah.
again, it pays to advertise. That's it.
Well, it really does. I mean, this, you see people do it all the time on YouTube, please like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. It's almost like muscle memory. They say it without even thinking. And it probably feels very trite, especially to me as a Brit. It's like, oh God, this again. But it does actually work.
It works.
And I've got an example with my hashtag. It took me 2 years to get 500 followers on LinkedIn Learner Lounge. And then as soon as I started asking people to follow, I got 200 more in 2 weeks. So it really makes a difference. If you expect people to just find something by accident, it ain't going to happen. If you ask them.
Absolutely.
And now I've tripled the number of followers, because every time I finish a post, it's I got partially inspired by this from Kevin, which is that you finish a post and you give people something to click on. You give them some kind of call to action, and he does it in comments as well, which I haven't gone that far yet. But, it does work. Asking people to take an action is often the difference between them doing it and not doing it. So, yeah.
And can I just add with the LinkedIn Live, it's good that they have the banner, because the remind me on a LinkedIn Live, more chances than not, doesn't work. It's more people click that, and then they send me a DM and they go, I got this weird thing. So It's good that they're giving us options, because the banner does work. And that showed up even before I had creator mode or cover story or anything. That was an immediate rollout, I think, to everybody that goes live. So that was a good thing.
I was going to ask, I don't know if Brenda's able to jump back in, but I heard a tip from, I think it was Judy Fox, saying that, as soon as you do a live video and it goes live, or as soon as you do a story and it goes live, you go and change your featured section to say, I've just done this, here's what I'm promoting. But you might be changing that section twice a day or something. Now, I'm not as dynamic as that. My stuff's been sitting there for a while. But do you
do that? And then I sometimes, after a couple of days, I'll just keep it on the feature, but just move it behind the list, right? So you have your favorite, maybe I have my favorite 3 articles that are resources. So I always bring them to the front. But if I do something, if I do a podcast with somebody, I'll bring that in, I'll feature it for about a week, and then, kind of move it back in the grouping. And it does have an impact.
I do the same thing.
There's an argument for saying that you could just get in the habit of every time you post, that becomes your featured item. You could do that, couldn't you? I mean, I've never tried it, but
right.
Why wouldn't it work?
I do it for special posts, John. Like the Guru Good News posts.
Yeah.
Okay. Because those are, again, because I like leading, and this is just my personal preference. I like leading with something, like Gillian. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about somebody else. Okay. So I like having the Guru Good News post, which is usually about somebody else, as the first thing that is in, and it kind of resides there for a little while and then goes away. But I've got the rest of them ordered. Now, I will tell you that every single one of my articles that I write, it's going to go into feature, but it's probably not going to be first. It's going to go in there. I'm going to place it down in order. Okay. The first, it last out, first one in, if you will. Okay. Kind of order. So my featured section is continuing to get bigger, but I don't change it any more than maybe once a week. So it could work either way. But again, in order for somebody to see your featured section, they have to come to your profile.
Yep.
And we weren't talking about this, but you mentioned this earlier. My profile views are way down.
Right. Okay.
I mean, oh yeah. I mean, I was getting up to upwards about 4,000 or so for the 90-day period. I'm down to like 2,000 now.
Wow, it's a big drop.
Yeah. See, mine had not changed in 90 days. So just the same kind of, a little of that, right? But
no, my
average out, it's not changed really in probably 6 months. It's been it's almost as if LinkedIn put put a mark there, like don't let him over this number. No matter what happens, don't let him over that number. Shut his profile down, whatever it is. It just almost feels like that, because no matter what, it just kind of, and it evens out, and
well, it's a different kind of flat line, right?
Yeah.
Get the paddles.
Not
feels like a flat line.
Mine's gone up steadily over the last 6 months from in the 4,000s to in the 5,000s. So there's been no significant drop there, that's heartening because my views for posts has definitely dropped since, this time last year. And I can't
Your
really
activity has increased, hasn't it? The amount of posts you're doing.
I don't know that it has. I don't know that it has really. I mean, it might be
Feels like it has. Put it that way.
Feels like it has, especially because you're doing a lot on your page. So
Yes.
so if
my
we're
company
page
page has got
followers,
a lot of content going on, but that's because I'm very much duplicating the stuff that I'd already put out on Twitter, which is usually a short thought or something that isn't strong enough to stand on its own on my personal profile. Because when I broadcast to my personal profile, I'm thinking this has got to be good because it's going to 35,000 people. So if it's not A grade stuff, it ain't going out. If it's B grade stuff, it's going on my company page because I don't really care what happens there. So it's a good way of testing ideas and things like that. But let me see if I can, I want to just share my screen because I shared this in one of my video responses yesterday. Let's just see if this is going to work. So you should be able to see my screen now.
Oh, yeah.
You got that? So this is
from before.
So yesterday I did an experiment called Video Reply Day. So everyone who commented on my post yesterday got a reply by video. So I did 39 videos, and I'm going
excellent.
I'm going to be turning that into a blog post maybe over the weekend. But one of the responses was in relation to this, which is my tracking of. Let's just let Brenda back in. My tracking of how long it takes me to add my next 1,000 followers, right? So in the very first bar is I went from 4,000 followers to 5,000 followers, and it took almost 100 days. Mm-hmm. From 5,000 to 6,000, it took about 75 days, and so on and so forth. Now look at that all the way throughout 2020. It's a really nice downward progression, right? So you're thinking, okay, that trend's going to continue. And before long, I'm going to be a millionaire and, Kim Kardashian's going to want me and all that stuff, right? But then look, towards the end of 2020, it starts to slow down. In other words, the bars go back up. Now, what's that about? I mean, I'm not creating content that is any worse than I was doing before. I've still got my trust with my audience. I haven't done anything to break that. I haven't done anything to change my way of being. Obviously, in the last 5 weeks, I've put creator mode on, but that's not enough to influence this uptick, right? So it's taking me longer to grab the next 1,000. And so all of the projections that I did last year, which said that I would have more than 60,000 followers by the end of this year, that's kind of, we ain't getting there because it's slowing down. Now, I don't know if any of you have done any kind of tracking like this, but it feels as though maybe the pandemic has led to so many new content creators coming on the platform that there is greater inventory for LinkedIn to find space for, and it has to make decisions about, okay, well, we can't show your stuff to all those people that we were showing it to before. And so people in your second and third line networks who might have found you and followed you, well, we're going to show them something else because there's so much stuff we've got to get out there. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, Brenda has been my stat as far as followers is concerned because of the LinkedIn Rockstar list. Okay. So, but I will tell you that I've also got a lot of other people. One of the newer people, the lady from Massachusetts, Susan Rooks, who is now on the follower list and has been on the last couple. Okay. She and I just had a conversation recently saying, hey, did your followers really slow down? And the answer was absolutely yes. Okay. Now she's not sure why that's happened because she went gangbusters. I mean, went nuts, for several months. And she's saying, and oh, by the way, I actually lost, my follower count went down. Okay. Recently. Now my follower count has not gone down, but I got to tell you, it's really, really slowed way down. I mean, maybe as slow as, when I used to get maybe 1,000 to 2,000 a month, I'm getting now maybe 100 to 200 a month as new followers. It continues to go up, okay, but it has slowed way down. Now, this is just supposition, but one of the things that I think LinkedIn has been doing a lot more of here recently that might have affected some people's follower counts is that they're eliminating a lot more fake accounts.
Right.
And I think that since the, a lot of those followers might have been fake to begin with, your account is going to slow down or maybe even go negative for a short amount of time. So I'm pleased that mine's continuing to go up. That's the good news. Okay. But, and I don't place, obviously I focus on followers. You guys know that I don't have that many connections, but I focus on followers. So getting the word out and keeping that follower count up is important to me. But it's the most important thing to me is that it continues to just go up. It doesn't have to go up at 1,000 a week or 1,000 a month or whatever. Mm-hmm. So does that make sense?
It does. I think I was talking to Kevin about this on Clubhouse, I think maybe just yesterday, and we were talking about a couple of people have complained publicly that, hey, LinkedIn, I've just lost 6,000 followers or something. Oh. And just speculating that I wonder if those people are incriminating themselves, that maybe they've bought some followers, because that's a huge drop, right? And if LinkedIn has just gone and iced a load of accounts, or they've found some master accounts that are linked to loads of dodgy accounts, and the killing the top has just flattened the bottom completely, maybe that could be the result. Because
those are the same people who are screaming that their post views have gone down too. So
yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, I know for myself that I don't get fake followers as far as I can tell. I certainly don't engage or encourage those. So it is a bit weird, but yeah.
I think if you went and really looked into who is following you, and maybe they've cleaned it up now, but if you really go and you look at that, I got on a project with LinkedIn where they were having me identify. I'd written a couple of posts and articles about, fake profiles, and I got kind of almost attacked by a group of fake profiles where they were coming in, they were commenting, they were trying to build a relationship, they were trying to get me to connect, and they were obviously fake. And so LinkedIn had me start identifying them, right? Instead of, deleting and blocking, and I would actually make a list for them every week. And in about a 3 to 4 month period, I reported 4,000 profiles to LinkedIn. Mm. Every month they were coming out of my follower list. And it was somewhat frustrating because it was like, hey, I'd like to move up on Brenda's list, but I'm knocking out 1,000 every month. It's like, what am I doing? But at the same time, it was the right thing to do, right? Absolutely. But they're in there. And it's interesting. One of the techniques they use is they begin following you, then they comment, right? They hope to get you to comment back. So if somebody else looks at their profile, they're like, oh, well, John Espirian, he talks with them all the time, right? And that's the activity on the profile that gives them some validity and allows them to do what they do as a fake profile. And there's a lot of things they do as a fake profile, but I think that's a big piece of it. The other thing I think that's going on, and I think it's the same thing that's happening right now with Clubhouse. Clubhouse is dwindling in a lot of areas. We now have alternatives, right? We can go outside. We can meet people at a pub in most places, right? And I think that's going on. So it's like, well, do I need to really be on LinkedIn 12 hours a day? Mm-hmm. Maybe I could make it 6, right? And that's affecting everything. That's affecting followers. That's affecting, how much they're going to read our content. It's going, I think, back to a more natural state. And if you think about it, if I can do it, I'll get outside, I'll go see something. I'll go do something. I call it like a digital detox. I take time off away from the computer. I have to, because if I don't, I'll go blind and probably crazy as well. But I think people are doing that more now. And so that's impacting a lot of the stats that we're seeing as well. Yeah. So I think it's not just these fakes, but it's people now have other choices besides the computer or the mobile phone in front of them.
That makes total sense. But of course, that effect itself won't last forever. At the moment, everyone's excited about, hey, I might meet another human being today. Great. But it'll be a few months and then it'll go, yeah, you know what? That's okay. I've done that now. Let me go back to
go back to my old ways. I think it'll stabilize. I think it'll find that point. So I think it right now is an extreme, and then it will come back to kind of where we were before 2020, as far as all those things go.
I've got a quick question for you, and I'm going to share my screen yet again, if that's okay with you. And I'm looking this time at my company page, right? Mm-hmm. I'm viewing my company page in member mode, view as member, and I've clicked the posts tab. And what I'd like to know is, if you do the same thing, do you have an articles tab now? Because I've seen that on someone else's profile, but I don't have it, even though I have published an article. You've got it, Jeff, yeah?
I do, yes.
Right.
Jeff, do you have more than one article, or do you just have one article? I'm curious.
Just one so far. I just did it as a test, but I want to actually systematically start publishing my content from my blog onto my company page. So I've got my body of work is published there. It's going to be a lot of copying and pasting, but it's weird that I can't just recall that article easily. I've got to go and hunt it down in my company feed. But
John, did you reach out to LinkedIn to ask them? Because if Jeff has it, that would mean the feature is available.
Well, I know someone else who's got it. She sent me a screenshot yesterday, and I was like, oh, I haven't got that. That's interesting. So that smacks of a rollout again, even though I've written an article and she hasn't, right? But I have, and I don't have it. So it's I guess it's another rollout, but I just wanted to check in case everyone has got it.
Yeah, I do not. I have all images, documents, videos, ads.
I have to go check.
In the member view.
So I do not have an articles tab for you. And I've got, I was going to say, I've got 4 business pages myself that I manage, and I'll go check and see on each one of those if that article tab has appeared and let you know.
Okay, cool.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could, on your personal profile, do what you
You froze there for a second, Gillian.
yourself?
So you lost you for about 5 seconds there, Gillian. Go again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, wouldn't it be nice on your personal profile if you could switch a button to view as a member and then view as yourself, just like you did on your business page? Wouldn't that be nice to do on our personal profiles?
It really would help with screenshots and stuff. Well, that's for certain.
And training.
Yeah, that's right.
My wife would appreciate it. Honey, can you take a screenshot of this? What?
Yeah, it would. Do you know that you can still see the old article grid view, but only if you're logged out? You know this, Jeff.
There's a link.
Yes.
There's a specific link to it, right? The way that they used to show it in the grid. Yeah. Did you mention that? Somebody else? I think there was someone else in the UK that mentioned that as well.
I can't remember who I got it from, but let me just
do is go to the link. But you're right. You have to be in an incognito.
Well, if you I sign out of LinkedIn and then I go to my articles page, and it's /today/author and then /your name.
That was
it comes up in the nice old style, and I think this is a much better way of presenting your articles, just the way it used to be. But you can only see it when you're logged out. How dumb is that?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that is one of the reasons that I switched to FYI.to, which allows me to do that smart list, which shows all those articles in that grid again.
And if you ever follow,
in fact, there was a long ago post about that I made the joke about it that I was doing Reverend Jim from Taxi. LinkedIn, you don't want to give me the grid view? Hokey doke.
There's something similar. If you log out and you go back with a post or an article URL, it also pops up this nice little box in there, and it's got a kind of a miniature profile. It's got your followers. It's got 3,000 plus posts, and then it's got 22 articles, and those are hot linked, and you can go into the post and see a similar view, which is kind of cool. So I like that. But again, you have to be out of LinkedIn to get to that.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a neat little piece. I was looking at that the other month, and I thought, that's kind of interesting that they're doing that. And I guess, that's how the search index outside of LinkedIn sees everything, right?
It's such a reverse value proposition. Normally it's like, hey, you like this? You can't wait until you log in and see what we've got for you. And with
LinkedIn, taking that away.
Hey, this is really good. Log in. It gets worse. So dumb. Yeah. Quick questions. We're coming towards the end. This has been really, really cool that the hour's flown by. Have you got on your providing services panel, have you got the ability to add your 500 character description, and have you got the ability to ask for reviews?
Yes and yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Okay.
Yes, and I'm not sure. I guess I got to look.
I don't recall.
Interesting enough, the review
Not that I
process
don't
came
think
from
about the review,
ProFinder.
no, but okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I heard from someone who used to work for LinkedIn said on Clubhouse that reviews were coming in June or July. They were talking in May. But I haven't actually seen a screenshot of what a review looks like, because obviously this is not a recommendation.
John, I'm going to send you a request to give me a review. You can or you cannot, but I want you to at least see it, what it looks like. And if you want to test it out to give me one, then you can show on my profile and we can see what it looks like. It's up to you though.
Okay, well, no, I'm happy to do that. But given that I can't see the feature at my end, will I be able to review you?
I don't know.
Yes.
Probably we'll give you a link if there's there's probably a message or a DM or an email or something.
And is it kind of a Google My Business style 5-star review thing? Is it a star rating? Or?
You got 5
It's a star
stars.
rating. I'm sending it to all of you if you want to look at it. If you want to give me a review, great. I'm not doing it, but I'm sending it to you so you can see what the request comes in as.
Yeah.
And then if anyone does want to give me a review, give me 5 stars, obviously, if you can, or whatever the star is.
Oh, it's going to cost you, Brenda. It's going to cost you.
Now, Brenda, how are you?
You want pie.
Sending out the review
What's it
request?
worth?
How are you sending out the review request? Because
So there's a place inside here where it's kind of like when you give someone a kudos, you type in their name
Mhm.
and then you click on invite, or actually it's kind of a combination of that and like the page invite. So at the bottom, it says invite more clients to review, and I get 16 out of 20 invitation, or I have 16 out of 20 invitations remaining. So I've already sent out 1 and I sent out 3 more just now. I'm going to send one to Jillian too. So you can see it.
So
Do you
whoa,
think
whoa,
it
whoa, whoa, whoa.
replenishes?
Hang on a second.
It's a credit. It's saying credits. So I'm assuming.
But do you
it's a
think it
credit.
replenishes? Like once you've done
Probably.
and you've got them, then you'll get another bucket?
Let's see if I click on content mark. I'm going to try this again. I'm just going to click on someone's name. It says 16 out of 20 credits available. Credit refill January 1st of 2022. So it looks like you get 20 credits for the year.
Oh.
Interesting enough, you can go, if you're in ProFinder, you can use the same, it's a different process, but it's the same system because they're migrating this over to make Marketplace.
Right.
And I've seen some of the insides on Marketplace,
Uh-huh.
but the ProFinder one, you can send as many as you want in there. And I've already got about 100 people to go in the last maybe 3 months through ProFinder. And I can send out, I've got a little, a document that I sent to them to help them walk through it.
Okay.
And so if you're a ProFinder member, then you can definitely gen that up as well. And I know it's moving into Marketplace. What is interesting, if you now go do a ProFinder request, your interface is no longer ProFinder, it is Marketplace.
Okay.
So you can see how Marketplace is going to work.
So as you've mentioned this, I'm fascinated as to whether LinkedIn is going to be providing a button to sell services where they take a proportion of a transaction fee, which means having a payment gateway and so forth. Have you seen?
They're already working on the wallet. You can see it. And it's interesting, depending on where you are, whether one of the reasons that ProFinder never rolled out was, if you think about it, it is a value add for services, right? That anybody can get through. So LinkedIn was always worried about taxes, right? Do am I now, if I let this go in England, do I owe that, right? As a company, do I owe that? And so what they're trying to do now through Marketplace is to roll that out and have a wallet that they have to pay through, right? So that they can collect those taxes as well in the process. So it's interesting. And I've heard of people already being able to, because they're in this kind of beta test with Marketplace, where it's not that hard to take the client outside of Marketplace, right? And avoid tax and all that kind of stuff. And, So people are already doing that. So it's not real settled in that sense, but I can send you screenshots of what I have for Marketplace, because that's going to be interesting. And that's how they're really taking ProFinder international.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, because I think that will really reduce the friction. Because at the moment, you know, if I'm selling someone a profile review, okay, go to my website and then you're going to pay through PayPal or you're going to email me, you know, hey, if I can do it through LinkedIn, and even if they took like a 20% cut, I'm okay with that, because maybe it'll get more conversions. So I'm fascinated to see what's going to happen with that. Presumably, this is a premium only feature. Is that correct?
ProFinder is, and so this may be, if you think about it, they don't charge you for ProFinder, but you have to have a premium membership to get into ProFinder, right?
Yeah.
And so they'll probably do the same thing here. They won't charge for Marketplace, but you'll have to have a premium membership to get into Marketplace.
See, I think that's perfectly fair, to be honest. If you're actually going to transact business on there, hey, you've got to pay the table stakes. That I'm cool with that, actually.
I think most people would be.
It'll be interesting. I don't like the fact that they're getting in the money stream.
Well, that's going the way we've talked about it before. That's enhancing the premium types of features as opposed to taking something away from the free. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. And it will, gosh, that could really ramp up their numbers of subscribers. You know, people who are on the fence going, oh, okay, all right, actually, we need this now. It's a condition of the game, isn't it?
One thing that's interesting, LinkedIn profile optimization, whatever you want to call it, they call it resume work.
Okay.
Now, that makes sense. If you go and you download from somebody's profile, if you try to do the download button, the file that comes through, guess what it says?
Yeah.
Resume.
Yeah.
LinkedIn wants to be the world's largest database of resumes. So they're looking at their profile as a resume.
Mm-hmm.
If you get into Marketplace, you will not be offering LinkedIn optimization. You'll be offering resume writing.
Okay.
Or profile writing, but it's not LinkedIn. Right. And it's interesting because I can't, you know, in my services, whether I was in ProFinder or as it is now with the service page, I cannot put LinkedIn profiles, LinkedIn optimization, because they've shoved it under that category. Right. And to me, a resume writer is very different than a profile writer. Sometimes you get somebody who's good at both, you know, that happens, but often they're very different, you know, in that sense. So to me, and I know what it is, they don't want their name directly associated with you offering a LinkedIn product, right? A LinkedIn profile, a LinkedIn, you know, because they lose control of the brand.
Sure.
You know,
you're not allowed to put LinkedIn in the name of a group either. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, and you're not supposed to be able to put it in the name of a company page, but we know that that's that happens all the time, right? Or all the, to me, the abuse is rampant on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this has been fantastic. We're run to time, and I said that we would finish on the hour. So I mean, we could probably talk for another hour easily here. But this has been great, and I really hope that, you know, we do more of these, and that these unscripted chats take us in. And we talked about a couple of things I wasn't expecting to talk about, but it was really, really good. So yeah, like I said, we'll slice and dice, and you can use this content however you see fit. Thank you very much for coming along, and I hope this is the first of many of these chats.
It was fun. It was fun.
Okay.
It was great.
Sounds good.
Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.
Y'all have a great weekend.
Have a great Friday and a great weekend, everybody.
Okay. Bye, everybody.